Welcome to Do's and Don'ts of Giving Constructive Feedback for Performance Improvement. My name is Chris Devaney. I'll be your presenter today. Here are the objectives we'll be addressing today. First of all, we'll take a close look at the foundations of constructive feedback. We'll also take a look at some techniques that we can use to make sure that the feedback that we provide is in fact both effective and constructive. We'll also take a look at some common mistakes we can make when we are making an effort to deliver feedback. We'll also take a look at some practical tips for sensitive feedback scenarios. And we'll also take a look at feedback as a tool for continuous improvement, the performance management life cycle. What do we know about constructive feedback? Well, let's start at the top. What the characteristics of constructive feedback are include the following. Now, constructive feedback comes in two packages. There is what we call positive constructive feedback. The second kind of constructive feedback is negative. In providing constructive feedback, we have to identify the issue. We have to be crystal clear about the exact nature of the issue. What are some of the obstacles to giving constructive feedback? Now, here's some do's and don'ts. What we should do when we're giving feedback is to start with positive feedback. Now, here's some broad guidelines. What makes feedback constructive? What makes feedback destructive? Well, within each category, there are also active forms and passive forms. So let's focus first on constructive feedback. Now, why should we give feedback? We're going to talk about why feedback is a top performance management tool. Now, corrective feedback should only be offered as a means of helping improve a group member's performance or ideas. So what types of communication do we use? We use verbal, the spoken word, nonverbal. This is why whenever we're in a Zoom meeting, Teams meeting, Google meeting, we need to have the video turned on because we need to be able to see and read each other's nonverbal signals, and written communication, usually in the form of email, maybe sometimes in a text. And what are the points of any communication? Whenever we communicate, we do communicate values. And this also gets to the heart of motivation. We're going to discuss all four of these and also demonstrate the connection. So when we communicate, we are communicating for results. Before we communicate with someone, we need to ask ourselves these questions. And now we're ready to look at communicating effectively. The first thing we need to do for every situation, for every problem, is to relate. We attend to ourselves, we attend to others, we ask others questions. And then the second thing we do is we strategize and we brainstorm. And they implement their action plan. Once they have hopefully improved their performance, we can move on to the next problem or situation. So why should we listen? Well, listening gives us a deeper awareness or appreciation of other points of view. What are some of the reasons why people don't listen? And what active listening itself is about is active listening. Here are some suggestions on what to do before we listen and then when we are listening. Then when we are listening, let's open the conversation positively. When we are exploring this other person's need, we need to ask open-ended questions about the situation. Listening is challenging. It's difficult. It takes work to provide input that this person hears, understands, and appreciates. So the goals of giving feedback, there are two. The first is to generate positive, useful behavior change in others. And the second goal, very important, is to initiate, maintain, and foster the working relationship. Some of the reasons we don't give constructive feedback. We might hesitate to give feedback because we're worried about how the other person's going to react. Here, though, are some of the reasons why we should give constructive feedback. So before we give feedback, we need to be prepared, be timely. Then while we're giving feedback, as I recommend, let's request their feedback first. And then after we've given someone constructive feedback, when it's over, we need to move on. Now let's start keying in on resolving conflicts and dealing with resistance. And we're also going to see in resolving a conflict how constructive feedback feeds into that. Now, I also share with you an exercise that's designed to help you to inspire your team to greater readiness and effectiveness. So we're trying to help all of us do a better job of resolving conflicts. And what's really going on is what we call resistance. So when we approach someone who's resisting us, we need to take their resistance seriously. Now, some typical responses to resistance include different types of resistances. So when we deal with someone who's resisting us, let's look for behavioral clues. Let's pay very close attention. So to summarize, we do need to recognize that resistance always exists. Let's engage in effective coaching. We're going to see in just a moment how constructive feedback feeds into coaching someone effectively. So the goals of coaching include we're trying to help someone resolve their problems, their challenges, how to coach someone constructively before, during, and after. So first a summary, and then we'll address these in detail. So coaching is about focusing on someone improving their performance of a specific task. You see, when we coach someone, remember, we're trying to follow the relating, strategizing, implementing approach to solving a problem against the action plan that we helped them to develop the last time we met. Coaching strategy spectrum. So the coaching process involves 3 steps. Step 1 is we prepare. Then we conduct the interaction, and then we follow up a review of some of the skills that are going to help us, a checklist, if you will, of skills that will help us to coach someone effectively. Don't ever use you or I. It's we are in this together. Coaching is essential for anyone to develop and to be successful. We want to listen actively and thoughtfully at least twice as much as we speak. So we've addressed these objectives today. What we've addressed along the way are 4 sets of communication skills, all of which involve constructive feedback: active listening, constructive feedback, resolving conflicts, coaching, and mentoring. So I do want to thank you. Again for participating today. And I do want to wish each and every one of you the absolute best in what you do. Thank you so much.